Welcome to Ladies Talking Business, a business lifestyle show where we break down the concept of business to its simplest form. I'm your host, Moremi Akano. On today's episode, we will be talking about running a business in the healthcare sector in Nigeria. And discussing this with me in the studio is Dr. Monisola Adanijo. She is the co-founder of Naveen Healthcare Limited, Lagos, Nigeria. With experience spanning over 20 years, Dr. Adanijo built her pathway in medicine and cardiology, working in reputable medical centers such as Mikio Healthcare Limited, Barnes Hospital, Chevron Hospital, Lagos, to mention but a few. Her passion for preventive cardiology led her to convene the Naveen Healthcare 10,000 Hearts Project in order to help individuals detect, protect, and correct cardiovascular diseases. Skilled in cardiovascular diagnostic procedures and treatment, she also has a diploma in leadership and management from the University of Washington, USA. She launched the first TeleElectrocardiogram project in Nigeria and West Africa. Happy to have you on the show today, Dr. Adanijo.
I'm glad to be here. I was actually reading my bio.
You were surprised? Well, thanks for coming on the show today. But so before we start to talk about the business side, and can you just give us the definition or what preventive cardiology means?
Okay, so cardiology is simply the care of the heart.
Okay.
So preventive cardiology simply means when you do things to prevent heart disease. Okay, the things you do to prevent heart disease, that is preventive cardiology.
So like
Very
what?
Simple. Okay, so for people that practice preventive cardiology, our emphasis is more on treating you before you fall ill. Okay. So things like lifestyle changes, medical screening, disease detection, and things like that is what we focus on in preventive cardiology.
Okay. So you've been in this game for over 20 years.
A long time.
Yeah, a pretty long time. Okay. So what notable changes would you say you've seen so far in the health sector and in also cardiology? But that you say, okay, this has made me proud to be practicing this in Nigeria. What notable changes?
Okay, first of all, obviously, like every other sector, tech. Tech has also affected the healthcare industry. There is more technology being deployed in healthcare, unlike before. Things like telemedicine, tele-reporting, and things like that are gaining ground now. Remote patient monitoring, your smartwatches and your devices, things like that. Exactly. Yeah. So that has really changed the face of medicine in the past 1 year, almost, give or take, thanks to COVID, because COVID really revolutionized, the use of technology in delivering. Like
there's almost nothing you would do now that you don't even need technology for.
Oh,
they host parties.
There's nothing. So you were talking about TeleElectrocardiography. In the past, when you do an ECG or a test like that, the doctor has to be where the patient is to be able to read the results, to be able to read the test. But these days, a patient can be in Kuala Lumpur and the doctor is in America. And, he or she can see the images real time, report immediately, and transmit back. I mean, that's just fantastic.
Wow. Okay. So on a scale of 1 to 10 in Nigeria, where are we? What's our growth rate?
Well, I'm a scientist, so I like to talk with data. I cannot give you exact, but talking off the top of my head from observation, for example, well, we're not doing too badly. So let's say our growth rate is maybe 4 over 10. But at least it's not 0.
Oh, well.
And it's not 1.
Okay.
So we're moving.
Okay. I like to ask doctors this, and I hope that you'll be comfortable talking about it. Okay. So why do you think the concept of humanity is lacking in the practice of medicine in Nigeria? And let me just give a bit of background. So you walk into hospitals, it's like the nurses are cranky.
Yeah.
Or we don't have enough doctors. Let's even talk about pregnant women, the way they address pregnant women, and you just wonder, she's in pain. Can you at least show empathy? So why do you think we don't have that in the practice of medicine?
Well, you see, there's so many factors. You know, while I won't hold brief for cranky hospital staff, but sometimes I like to let people see things from the other side. Now, we all know in Nigeria there's a drain of professionals. A lot of people have left the country. As we're speaking, more healthcare professionals are boarding a plane, you know, to travel. So the few of us that are left are really overworked and overstretched, because you can't manufacture doctors, you can't manufacture nurses, you can't manufacture lab technicians. You understand? I've been a doctor for 23 years. If I decide to travel today, honestly, nobody can take my space, because even if a doctor leaves medical school today, he can't do what I can do because of the years of experience. So, first of all, there's manpower problem. So let's say a hospital is supposed to have 10 nurses, for example. They'll have just 5. Or the hospital is supposed to have 5 doctors. They'll have just 2. So everybody's stressed. Everybody is overworked. I'm not saying it's an excuse, but I'm trying to, you know, first thing. Second thing, remuneration.
I think
that's the whole reason why everybody is moving anyway. People think they deserve to earn better. So, you know, I'm working 3 shifts. I'm doing 3 people's work, quote unquote, and I'm being paid less than what, you know, my mates earn out of the country. The person may have applied for a visa, they didn't grant it. You know, so they kind of take it out on the patient, which again I say is not fair, and that's not an excuse. But, you know, sometimes we can't really, you know, control ourselves. And then another problem is, you know, equipment. You know you're supposed to use XYZ equipment to treat this person, and it's not available, or you have to go around the hospital looking for something that should be basic. All those things really should make people cranky. You know, it's frustrating working in the healthcare sector in this country sometimes, especially in the public sector.
That is where I think people get that kind of treatment the most. But would you say that the curriculum also has a part to play, or can be improved to include things like empathy, communication with patients, and all those things?
I agree with you completely. I went to school a long time ago, and at that time we were not being taught patient communication. When I was doing my residency, I took a course on patient communication. I actually learned how to communicate with patients. And, you know, I remember telling a colleague that this should actually be in our curriculum. Because there are so many things we don't know about talking to, instead of at a patient. There's a difference. You don't talk at people, you talk to people, you know. Even your tone of voice, your body language. I learned all that because I decided to go and learn. Now, I agree with you. There's some things that we need to add to our curriculum. Apart from empathy and things like communication, business management. I feel all those things need to be added, and people will be like, wow, you want to add all that to a doctor's curriculum? But those are life skills, those are soft skills, emotional intelligence, you know, the things we need to live life. We really need to add them to our curriculum. Maybe, you know, people would be a bit nicer to
I
patients.
agree with you completely, but we'll talk more about the healthcare industry right after the break. We will be back for more conversations with our guest right after the break. You are still watching Ladies Talking Business on PlusTvAfrica with our guest, Dr. Monisola Adanijo, the co-founder of Naveen Healthcare Limited. So, Dr. Adanijo, tell me how it has been running Naveen Healthcare. I know that you probably don't have so many good things to say, but let's talk about the good ones, and then we talk about the challenges.
Okay, so the good things about running Naveen Healthcare, we have been able to impact people positively. We have been able to change people's lives. I have personally, you know, achieved a lot of growth. We're innovators in Naveen. We do new things like the tele-ECG and things like that. Those are the new things we do. What we're doing now is that we're doing hospital takeovers. So we go to government hospitals, we take over the hospital, take over the administration, the running and things like that, so that we can deliver good health care to the people. Now, we have a pilot hospital in one of the southeastern states, and it's really doing so well that we're hoping to expand to more hospitals. So that has given me so much joy to be able to impact people's lives and to be able to travel, you know, to see new places. You know, prior to, you know, also acquiring this hospital, I'd never been to the southeast before. So that has been a really good experience. So that has been good. I've met fantastic people along the course of my journey, great staff, you know. So that has been the good part. Now the challenges. So the challenges, first of all, as a doctor, like I said earlier, we're not taught business. We're not taught, you know, people skills. We're not taught how to manage anything. So I started Naveen Healthcare almost blind because I had a passion. It was what I wanted to do. You know, I wanted to prevent heart disease. I wanted to, you know, give people quality healthcare. So let me start a business. And it was rough in the beginning because I didn't understand what business was. I couldn't read the financial statements. I didn't know profit and loss. You know, so I had to take a crash course in all that. And it was tough. Then, of course, funding is always an issue.
Yeah.
And for healthcare, it's even worse because many people don't understand healthcare. I can go to a bank and say, I want to buy handbags at 10 naira and sell at 20 naira. They understand that. But when we're talking about healthcare, you want to buy a machine worth 20 million and charge 1,000 naira to do a test. And they're like, doctor,
no, really.
the numbers don't work and things like that. So funding, you know, was an issue, you know, is still an issue because there's always a constant issue. How do we get funds? How do we raise funds? You know, do we pass the you know, the cost to the patients? Things like that, you know, how much can these patients really pay? Can you really increase prices? So that has always been a challenge. Another challenge is regulations. One agency is saying this, another one is saying that. You need to get this license. Sometimes you're not aware you need that license. So, you know, there's so many issues. Of course, multiple taxations. You know, you're paying taxes to like 20 different people. You're wondering, you know, what's going on here? And things like that. But, you know, I think those of us that are doing business in Nigeria, we have some kind of resilience or something. But we keep pushing forward. And the impact really we're making makes me, you know, want to continue.
So it makes it worth it for you.
But sometimes, honestly, I get home and I'm like, Moni, what exactly? Why are you here? Just go to Canada or something.
Please don't leave us here.
You know, but honestly, it's really worth it. It's really worth it.
It's good to hear that it's really worth it. So while talking about the business bit, you know, can you give us some tips on running a profitable business, especially in the healthcare sector?
Okay, so many of my colleagues that run business in the healthcare sector, they don't know about their numbers. I used to be one of those people. Now, you need to even understand what profit means. The fact that there's money in the bank, the fact that money is coming in every day, the fact that you have 1 billion in your account doesn't mean you're making a profit. So first of all, you need to understand, you know, what it means to make a profit. The second thing is you need to keep an eye on your numbers so that when those numbers are dropping or rising, you need to know. Then you need to understand that healthcare, like every other business, needs to be marketed. You need to do marketing. You need to do sales. Those are the ways to increase your business. Customer retention, customer service. Because if those hospitals had good customer experience officers, then maybe their nurses won't be rude to the patients.
And won't be so cranky.
So customer experience, staff welfare, you know, things like that. Those are the things you need to know. And of course, you need to understand the regulations in your industry.
I think that's very important. If not, you find out that you're going to be frustrated every day as a founder. So this person comes with, you have to pay this tax. Tomorrow, another person comes and you're just like...
Exactly. And I also need to know the bodies regulating healthcare wherever you are. You need to understand what you need to do. You need to understand the numbers you need to file. Like for healthcare, every year we submit data to the state. These are the number of patients that came, malaria, hypertension, blah, 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 blah. You need to understand things like that. You need to understand waste disposal. You need to understand, you know, when to renew your license. Some people forget to renew their license. You know, and then people come and say, we want to lock up your hospital. You need to understand the laws. Okay, you are a clinic, this is what you should do. You are a hospital, this is what you can't do. You know, you need to understand all those things. So, you know, sometimes people get carried away with, oh, I'm a doctor, I can treat 10 people a day. I can treat 40 people that have malaria every 5 minutes. But if you don't understand those nuances of business, then first of all, you won't be making money, even though money is coming in. And then you risk being shut down because you're doing things you're not supposed to do. because you're not paying attention to the regulations in your business and things like that.
Wow, interesting. I'm sure that anybody planning to start a healthcare business is already fully equipped. But let's talk about some untapped areas in healthcare. So your bit, which is cardiology, I don't think is that common, or even if it is, it's probably very expensive to go by.
Well, funny enough, cardiology is the most common internal medicine specialty. We have quite a lot of cardiologists in Nigeria.
Really?
Yes, even though they're moving, but we still have quite a lot compared to the other subspecialties. Okay. Now, cardiology is really important because, of course, it goes with the heart. And everything is linked to it. Everything causes heart disease. Heart disease causes everything. So everything is linked, right? Untapped areas, preventive cardiology, especially from the patient side or from the client side. We don't talk enough about preventing disease. We don't talk enough. We tend to wait to establish a dialysis center, or we wait to establish a heart transplant center, or we wait to establish a hospital that can treat.
How about prevent?
But if we prevent heart disease, then maybe all these people dying from heart disease, the numbers would reduce. Every day we wake up to the news, somebody's slumping, somebody slept and didn't wake up. Most of these people die from cardiovascular disease, and all these things could be prevented. So untapped areas, preventive cardiology. Another untapped area, we're not using tech enough. We're not using our devices enough. Because, for example, most people that have all these Apple Watches and things like that, step counters, they do it for their own good. Some people even do it as fashion. They wear it as fashion.
Yeah.
They don't know what the rings mean. They don't know what it means to complete your rings. They don't know. So we need a situation where, I give my patient a device and I'm in my house and I can see, Moremi didn't do her steps today. Hello, Moremi, you did just 2,000 steps today. What's going on? So we need to do more of that. We need to do more of telemedicine. I'm in Lagos. There's so many patients I can treat that are not where I am. There are patients I can treat that are in Zamfara, Sokoto, the East, and things like that. Now I'd have to drive down. But if we embrace telemedicine more, and what's the issue with telemedicine? Not these remote areas, internet access, smartphones.
Yeah.
So those are also, untapped things in cardiology. And there's just so much, training of non-doctors in basic life support, EMT training, even moving away from cardiology, health economics training, health finance training, health business training. There's just so much to do. There's really, really so much to do.
I agree with you. There's so much to do, but we'll talk more on this shortly. We will go on a short break now. Please stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. I'm still here with Dr. Monisola Adanijo. So, doctor, there's no way I'm going to bring you on this chair and you won't give us some health talk.
I know.
Okay, so tell us some interesting facts about cardiovascular system.
Okay, so interesting fact 1, your heart has been beating from when you were 4 weeks in your mother's womb.
Okay.
And it will not stop beating until you die.
Okay.
So if you live till you're 80, that means your heart doesn't take a break.
Even when we sleep?
No. If your heart takes a break, that means you're dead. Exactly. So your heart doesn't take a break.
Okay.
Now, imagine if this was your staff. Imagine if that was you. You're working for this organization and you work every day, 24/7. You are working, you don't take a break, you don't take a holiday. And then the owners of the organization don't treat you well. They don't pay your salary on time. There is no adequate provision for your family. You don't have housing. They don't change your clothes because you can't go and change your clothes yourself. So someone has to, because if you leave the organization, obviously there'll be a problem. They don't give you a change of clothes. They don't bring you food. Or when they bring you food, they bring you horrible food. So let's say, what's your favorite food?
Do I have a favorite food?
Okay, so let's say
plantain.
You like eating plantain. And what's your worst food?
I shouldn't want to say it.
Say it.
Several.
Right. So you love plantain. They never give you plantain. Even though you are working so hard, all they do is feed you semo 24/7. How would you feel? Wouldn't you just one day say, you know what, I'm done? You pack your bags and you move. Imagine how our hearts feel.
Wow, when we don't feed it right, when we don't
feed our hearts. So how do you feed your heart right? Now, it's not the quantity of food that matters. It's not in the exoticism or exoticness of the food or how expensive the food is. Your heart needs a certain kind of food. Fruits and vegetables, low salt, low fat, healthy carbohydrates, healthy protein. Those kind of foods, your heart loves them. But instead, we feed our hearts junk. We feed our hearts oily food. We feed our hearts salty food. We take chemicals and pour it on our hearts. Chemicals like alcohol, tobacco, drugs, illicit or otherwise. You understand? We don't exercise our hearts. All we do is sleep all day.
How can we exercise our hearts?
No, I'm getting there. All we do is sleep all day. All we do is sit down in one place all day under the guise of being rich and influential. I can't walk down the street to buy groceries. I'll take my big Jeep so that the neighbors can see that I've arrived. My kids can't play outside. You know, they'll get hot and sweaty. So let them stay inside and play with the latest video games. Let them stay inside and watch TV. The heart does not like when you're sedentary. The heart loves it when you move around. Our bodies were not meant to sit in a chair. Our bodies were made to move. Okay? You don't go for your health check. Your heart is screaming, I need help, but you don't know because you didn't check.
Duty.
And then when the day the heart decides, I'm not doing again, the person sleeps and doesn't wake up. The day the heart decides, I'm done, the person is in a meeting and the person slumps. The day the heart decides, I'm done, or better still, the heart is still managing. Okay, let me just walk, but they're not even taking care of me. Let me walk at half capacity. Then your heart fails. And then it affects everything else. It affects your brain, your kidney. Oh, don't let me forget, you don't sleep well. So you are awake all the time, you know, because of some reason. For some people, it's work. For some people, they're awake watching what they shouldn't be watching or pressing their phones. You don't rest.
I'm kind of catching myself.
Yeah, just... You know, so I like telling people like that so they understand that, you know, the heart is not just something somewhere that, because we don't feel it working. You know, we don't feel it. It's almost like we take it for granted, and it's so unfair.
Wow. Okay. Because like you've been speaking to me, I'm not that bad, but I could pick some things there that apply to me. So what are the signs to show us or to tell us that it's time to see a cardiologist?
Honestly, I really wish you wouldn't wait for the signs.
Okay.
I'm really busy, and even though it may sound crazy, I wish I wasn't that busy. Because by the time you're seeing me, then, you know, you already have issues.
Yeah.
So I always tell people, don't wait for a sign. Many times there's even no sign. Many people, their first episode of heart disease is when they sleep and they don't wake up. So don't wait for, okay, there's no sign, so I'm fine. No, don't wait for a sign. Every adult needs to start going for their routine medical checks. And don't wait on people say, oh, I'm not yet 40. I always tell people, my youngest hypertension patient is 18 now. Wow. I met him when he was 16. So, you know, just, it doesn't cost anything to do your blood pressure. Walk into any pharmacy shop, they're doing it for free. In the market, people take it around, this BP thing. Just do your blood pressure. And then when, you see, there are two categories of people. There are those that don't even go for a health check at all. And there are those that go. And they tell them, Mrs. XYZ, you have hypertension, or you have diabetes, or you are overweight, or you have high cholesterol. And the first thing they say is not my portion.
God forbid.
And they take the medical report, they throw it in their drawer and lock it up until next year. So those are the two categories of people. So those that don't go at all, and those that go and they deny whatever it is that is in the report. They don't go for treatment. They don't, they don't even explore ways to improve their health. They just say, I'm feeling fine, Joe. And that's it. And it goes back to bite us in the, in the behind in a few years.
So please get checked up, people. But just before we go, what's your advice to up-and-coming cardiologists? Or people that are even operating in this space?
Okay, so first of all, up-and-coming cardiologists, we need to realize that, the society is not, it's changing rapidly. A lot of things that we were taught in school, by the time we come out, it's already obsolete, and that's the truth. Many things I learned even during residency, nobody does that anymore. The world is changing, and we need to understand that we need to change with the world. We can't have this is the way we normally do it attitude. Even if you've practiced for such a long time and you have fantastic experience, learn new things. Be open to learning. You don't know everything. And obviously, your medical knowledge is not everything. Your medical knowledge is not enough. If you know you want to run a business, you need to understand a lot of nuances. You need to understand emotional intelligence. You need to understand business. You need to understand finances. You need to understand sales and marketing. Your medical knowledge does not qualify you to own and run a business. And another thing I want to say is that to the younger doctors and younger healthcare professionals, it's okay to change your career halfway. So you can be doing something for 10 years. You know what? I want to go into something else. It's okay to be a non-clinical doctor. A non-clinical doctor is a doctor that doesn't see patients. So you have doctors who are administrators. You have doctors who are authors. You have doctors who play music. You have doctors who are actors, So many people are stuck with this label of, I'm a doctor. I can't do anything else. And then again, doing something else outside medicine helps prevent burnout. So develop hobbies that are not clinical. Have non-medical friends so that you can even see what's happening in the world. Have non-medical hobbies. Learn how to do things that are outside medicine. It helps, combat burnout.
It's different having a doctor on the show. But thank you so much, Dr. Adanijo, for coming on Ladies Talking Business.
I had so much fun.
Thank you. I did too. Wish you the very best.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us today on this healthcare episode of Ladies Talking Business. Do join us the same time next week for another episode. And don't forget to follow us on PlusTvAfrica Lifestyle on YouTube for more. I am Moremi Akano. Bye for now.